Yeah. So let's go to any folder. This folder we are using, right? So one, we know like how to transfer the data from source to target. Yeah. Where we have used simple flat file source and flat file target. Yeah. Using that, we could able to transfer data from source to target. Yeah. Okay, Javier. So we just executed this. So after that, we could able to see the results which are transferred to a target. Yeah. Now open the log. I think we have seen that, like how to what I call look at the log. This log is similar to what you guys would have seen the session log in the Power Center. This is similar to that. Yeah? So now the next thing is what if you want to configure each physical data object based on your own, let us say, columns, which means if you want to add new columns, you can just go and add columns. Yeah? And because we are using this what I call same data object as a reader and writer, right? Now I am trying to add one output column which is what parse output, yeah? Or parse out, and then get it saved. This is where we need to modify. We cannot directly modify a target or source within a mapping. Yeah? We have to open the data object and get it modified. Yeah? Now, in the bottom you will see different tabs, right? Read tab, where you will see the properties corresponding to the reader. Can you see here? This is a path, file name, direct or file or whatever, right? Which means if you want to make any changes to the input path or input file name, we can change it over here. Yeah. So within a mapping, there is no way of what I call getting it changed. Yeah? Remember that. But if the input type is a command, which means through command, if you want to read it, you can select a command, or if you want to read data from file list, which means you will have one top level file which is indirect file, then within that you will have n number of files. If you want to do that, we can also do that. Yeah? Yes, if you want to create a parameter, yes, we can do that. If the parameters are already been created here, then we can start using it. If there are no parameters, then we can also do that. Yeah? So that's it. Now, once you configure that, we also have other properties, right? If you use a command here, this command will be enabled, or else it will be disabled. Truncate string null. In case if we have any nulls, then they will be what we call truncated. And line sequential buffer length, in case if we have any null characters, yeah, and all of them will be removed in case if we have truncate string null. Next is what sequential buffer length by default 1024 bytes. Yeah. In case if we have more than this number of bytes, then we can increase it, so that data integration service is going to what we call consider all these bytes which is more than this. Yeah. Now save it and then go to properties, and then again select what we call second tab, which is going to be what? Writer properties. So far we have talked about reader properties, right? So we can also configure writer properties. So yesterday what we did was we have used default writer properties where we could able to populate data to a target, yeah, which is what we have seen, right? Now we can talk about what I call custom writer properties. For example, let's instead of current directory, if you want to populate data to, let's say, some other directory, let's say target folder, yeah, underneath if you want to put your own name of the file, let's say LA customer target, you can specify that. So the directory does not exist. If the directory need to be created, it is going to create, which is a target directory, and create a file. This is a file, and populate data to that file. That's what happens. Plus, if you want to also what I call transfer or display what I call field names in target file, we can also use this. And header command and footer command. In case if you want to add header, if you want to make this target which should look like what you call report, right? So in the header you can put a description. In the footer you can also put a description like a copyright or whatever, so that it would look like a report. Yeah? If you run multiple times, if you want to append the data, you can select it, or else only you'll have override, which is only most recent run data will be in the target. So that's what we have as part of reader and writer properties. Now parameters, if you want to add parameters and supply value to the parameter at runtime, then we can use this. Plus we have some advanced properties where we can start making use of any what I call code page or any, let us say, separator like 1000 separator or decimal separator or date time format. If you want to change it, we can change it, or else it is an optional thing. So that is what we have. That's what we need to remember while configuration of this particular each flat file data object. Mainly reader properties and writer properties. Now we can run this mapping again, so that data now should be transferred to what we call some other target, which is going to be what target folder, and wherein you will have data. Let's go to C drive and see whether target has been created. It is created, right? And we also have data. So that's what will happen if you want to create your own target and populate data to that. Yeah, clear? So that's it about what we call defining our own reader and the writer properties. Yeah? Now let us start building our own or new mapping where we are going to perform what we call parsing. Yeah? So that is what we are going to discuss now. Yeah? Let us build a mapping with a source, which is a flat file data object, and then with what we call parse. Yeah? So we'll try to focus on how to parse the input data into multiple fields or multiple columns or multiple output columns. Yeah? So for that, click on what we call finish, where we can start reading the data from a flat file. Yeah? And then we know what is the flat file, all that, right? Path and file name, all that we have discussed. And then right click on this workspace and say add transformation, where you can just type P. So you can see parser transformation over here and select it. Yeah. There are two types of parsers, namely token based parser and pattern based parser. We can start making use of token based parser. So using token, we are going to parse input string or input data to multiple output strings, yeah, which is what we could see now. Yeah. Let us start getting into configuration of token parser. Say finish. Now empty parser object will appear here. Now we need to start getting this parser transformation configured. Yeah? To do that, we are going to use what we call a input column, which means reading the data from input columns. Let's say customer tier or full name. Wherever you have multiple substrings from a given input column value, there we can start making use of parser transformation. Yeah? As a result of that, we could able to see parsing which is going to get or which is going to get performed. Yeah? So let us start looking at how the parsing is going to take place here. Now click on parser and then go to strategies and define what I call properties. Yeah? So which is what we are going to look at now. Click on new and then select any input column. Let's say full name, yeah, which we are going to parse that into multiple subfields or multiple separate fields. Like one field is going to be the first name and second is going to be the last name, example. So how are we going to parse a full name which has got first name and last name? Yeah? So we can just open and see the file, input file, where we have a full name. Can you see here? And in full name we have what we call name like this. Yeah. So how are we going to parse it? Yeah. To do that, we have space delimiter in between two what we call columns. Yeah. Now let us go to Informatica developer and we have supplied name, right? By default you will have two output ports, namely overflow field and unparsed field. Yeah. So overflow field, which is output port, will be used to capture the leftover what I call parsed output. Let us say we have first name and last name. Now you parsed first name and you stored output of this first name into one output port, which is a first name. Now what happens to last name, assuming that you have not defined last name? So leftover value, which is the last name, will be dumped onto this overflow field. Yeah. So we can say that last name will put it in overflow field. Yeah. Now the next is what? Unparsed, which means if the input data does not contain the token of what we expect, a token set of what we expect, like a space or comma or whatever, right? Then such records will be sent to, or such field values will be sent to to this particular output port which is unparsed. Yeah? Now delimiter is a space that we have seen, and click on next and use parse using token set and click on next, and then here we need to select what we call token sets. We have many predefined token sets and which can be used to parse the data, and we can also use our own custom token sets to parse the data. One of them can be used. Now, let us start choosing one of the predefined token set. In case you have credit card or whatever, right, we can use predefined token sets. In case if you do not want to use any predefined token set, yeah, then we can use undefined and say OK. Now here in token sets within parentheses you can say single output only, which means if we use token sets then we can have only one output port. For that, go to this drop down and click on new and define what we call output port, which is, let us say, first name, right? Yeah, then say OK, then finish it. Yeah? This is what need to be done as part of simple parser transformation. Yeah? Once you do that, get it saved. Now we know how to what I call configure parser transformation with one parser type, which we call token based parser, yeah? Using which we are going to what we call parse the data. So we have used simple delimiter through which we are going to what we call parse the data, right? So let us start running this particular parser transformation, or we can also use what we call LA customers as a type where we can send output of this parsing transformation to a target. Yeah? Can you see here? We have added one new column which we call parse output. Let us say one parse output which is a first name, which means what? If it has been parsed first name will be sent to this, and if you want to send even last name to what we call to the output, we can also send it to this. Unparsed one, in case if we have any column which is not parsed, we can start connecting it to some output port, but anyway, instead of adding a new port, I'm just connecting to other port where anyway we are not using it for other reasons. Yeah? That's it. This is how we can build simple parser transformation with what we call token based option. Yeah? So that's what we are doing it, or we have done it now, right? So there is a question now, like can we save two output fields in parser apart from overflow field? To do that, we need to use pattern based, but in token based we cannot do that. Naresh? Hi, Sriram. Good evening. So now let us start looking at how are we going to what we call run this particular mapping and start looking at what we call output based on this parsing output. Yeah. Yeah, good evening, Sriram. Now let us run this what I call mapping. Yeah. Yeah, there are only two things, Suresh. One token based, other is what I call pattern based. Hi, Sridhar, good morning. So only there are two things. Yeah. So now let us start looking at what we call the log, where we can see like how many rows that have been parsed, or we can also directly get into a target and see the output. Can you see here? We have mapped only what we call two columns, and third column also we mapped, but there is no data over there, right? Now you can see here what we call it is after parsing we could able to see the output. Customer tier, which is empty, and full name is what? Last name, and barb is what? First name. That's what we have done, right? So likewise, every row, Sandra Tucker. Sandra is going to be the first name, which means first name has been mapped to parse out, and full name has been mapped to what we call last name, and customer tier, which has been mapped to what we call unparsed field. Yeah, no problem, Sridhar. Yeah, now this is what you will see as a result of this parser transformation. Now let me try to show it again, like what we have done. Yeah, we have used one parsing strategy, and as a result of that we have just taken input of this, which is a full name, and output is going to be what? Last name, first name, unparsed field, which means what? Parsing output is going to be these three: last name, first name, unparsed field, and input is going to be what? Full name. So that's what this is input, and output from this is going to be what? These three. That's what we've done, right? Now if you get into the strategies, here we can see here what strategies that we have used. Inputs, these are the two, and outputs, what we have three, which is the first name, last name, and parsed field. Now if you want to get into the strategy, expand this, where you could see like a what token set that we have used. We have used undefined token set, and that's it. And if you want to build one more strategy, let me show that. I'll show that, Suresh. Example of pattern strategy, right? I'll show that. So let's understand this clearly, then we'll get into what we call pattern based. Now second strategy which we can think of building it now, let's take the same full name as an input, and click on next and specify any what we call token set, which is again going to be what we call undefined token set, and then say okay. Then we can start, or if you want to use regular expression, based on that, if you want to parse the data, token set is a set of tokens which can be used to parse the input data. See that? So why do you need a parser transformation? In order to split the input data into multiple what we call substrings. For example, full name contains a first, middle, and last, or first, last. Now you need to divide the input full name to multiple columns, which means what each column would contain separate field value. Like first column would contain first name, second column would contain middle name, third column would contain last name. In order to split input full name to multiple separate fields, we use parser transformation. That's one example. How do we do that? By using a token set. Now the second way to parse the data is going to be based on what? Regular expression, which means we can use regular expression in order to what we call parse the input data into multiple substrings. To do that, we can define regular expression. We can do it from scratch or add it over here. Let us say regular expression that we are going to define now from a scratch. Click on next, and if we have what we call more than one output port, then we can start using what we call defining more than one output port. Yeah? And define a regular expression. Let us say, assuming that regular expression that we are going to use here is what? Bar. Which means in case if the input data contains a bar, then that data will be parsed. If it doesn't contain, that will not be parsed. So that is where, or that is how we can define the regular expression through which we could able to parse the input data into multiple columns. Yeah? This is just for testing purpose, like how this regular expression is going to work. For example, if I just put bar, matches found is how much? 1. If I just put bar 1, so there is no match. There are two things, right? One is there is no match. So which means if we say this also there is no match, only one match found. Which means the input string contains, let us say, this many substrings. Yeah? Wherever there is a match, only those things will be parsed. In this case, first, second will be parsed, last value will be sent to unparsed field because it is unable to parse. Yeah? So like this is just for testing purpose. So we don't use this for real parsing. Yeah? Then click on finish. Once you do that, select the regular expression and say OK. This is how we can build any regular expression through which we can parse input data into multiple substrings. Yeah? Now let us start defining what we call output ports. Yeah? For that, what we need to do here is we need to start defining output port values. That's the first name. Yeah? We have defined only one output, right? Number of outputs is how much? Only one. So we can define only one. If we define let's say more than one, then we can start adding more than one output port. Now click on finish. This is how we can define what we call new parsing strategy based on a regular expression. Previous case was based on token set, which means we can define a token and start parsing the input data into multiple substrings. Yeah? Now let us start getting this regular expression based parsing strategy saved and start what we call running this parser transformation so that we could able to see the output. But here, once you define a strategy, you will have three extra or three fields here. First two fields are reserved for what we call output ports. These are predefined output ports. And last one, user defined output port. Yeah? Which was not mapped to a target. Yeah? If you map it, the data will be transferred to a target. If you don't map it, we can also run this parser transformation in the data viewer. So you don't need to get into target every time in order to look at the output of this particular parser transformation. So for testing purpose, see whether this parser transformation is going to return of what we expect or not. Then we can just select this parser transformation, right click and say run data viewer. Yeah? So that we could able to see the result in the data viewer itself instead of getting into a target. Can you see here? There is a FN which we just used for second strategy, which is a regular expression based, where we have bar and there is a one first row which got parsed and second row it is not parsed, so output has been sent to unparsed field. Similarly, the rest of the rows. So this procedure will be repeated for all the rows, and wherever there is a parsing, we could able to see parsing output. Wherever there is no parsing has happened, then you will see the output in what? Unparsed field. That's all happens by using what? Regular expression. We can sort the data based on all the sorted ones will be kept in the top, unsorted ones, parsed ones will be kept in the top and unparsed ones will be kept in the bottom. So there are 3 records where the first name has been parsed because bar has got match over here, and the rest is what I call part of this, what I call full name did not parse, so it has been sent to unparsed field. But other rows where there is no what I call matching has happened. As a result of that, none of the records other than these 3 have been parsed. So all of them output has been sent to what? Unparsed field output port. So that is what happens with respect to this parsing strategy. Clear? Now, so far we have focused on how to parse the data using token set, where we could see the effect. We have seen workflow field as well as first name, which means first name, last name we have seen. In the previous case we did not have any output related to what? Unparsed field. Now we could able to see unparsed field also using what? Regular expression. So likewise we can build any number of parsing strategies through which we can start getting the input data parsed. Any questions over here? No questions? Yes, Javier.
Siemens, the parsing can be done only through mapping.
1 minute, there's a background noise. Yeah, let me unmute you, Javier. Yeah, go ahead, Javier.
Parsing can be done only through mapping, yeah?
Yes. Yes, Javier. Using this parser transformation. Within a mapping, there is a transformation called parser through which we can parse the input data into multiple substrings.
Okay, so parser is a part of mapping.
Exactly. So in mapping, we can have a set of transformations. One of them is what? Parser transformation, which does parsing of input data. Yeah?
Great, yeah, sure.
Fine. Yeah, we'll do that, Naresh. Any other questions? So more than two output ports we have already seen, like first name, last name. So if you want more than 2, that also we can try. Any other questions? One output port is what? Last name, and first output port is what? First name. So which includes 2 output ports. Yeah. Wow. Fine. You can do that. Any other questions? Yeah. So now let's move on to what we call next step, where we need to have the input data in order to define more than 2 output ports. Yeah. So let me create a sample data where we can have more than 2 output ports. Then I'll show that example also using parser transformation. Yeah. Now the next is what if you want to define your own token set at global level, yeah, instead of defining at local level. To do that, we can go to file folder and say new and then content set, where we can start building our own content set, yeah, over here, yeah, and select this content set. Now we have what we call 0 token sets have been defined. Now we can start defining our own token set. Go to content and go to token set and start adding our own token set based on either character based or based on regular expression. That's a regular expression like what we tried, right? We can define that. So wherever there is a match based on the regular expression, right, we can start applying a label, let's say or whatever, like whatever you want. and supply regular expression which is based on, let us say, Sandra. So wherever there is a Sandra, then the input data is going to get parsed, or else it would not get parsed. Yeah? Click on finish and then get it saved. Now this is what we call, at global level we can define n number of token sets based on the character, based on what we call regular expression. Yeah? Yes, this is basically for hard-coded values, but if you want to define like a custom way, you can define one XML file and place it over here. That way also can be done. Suresh, normally you will have predefined values, so that can be hard-coded over here. Suresh, now let us start making use of this particular what we call global content set within the parser transformation. How do you do that? To do that, get into this parser transformation and start building a new strategy. Click on strategy, right click on this and say new, parse using token set or whatever, or we can also click on this and start selection of any column, let's say full name or whatever, and say next, select regular expression which is going to be based on what we call the global content set. No? Import, if you have anything you can get it imported, or else if you want to define from a scratch, we can define from a scratch, or else we can get it cancelled. Let us say we have defined token set, right, our own token set. Then click on choose, where you will see the token set of what was defined at global level. Can you see here? This is what we have defined, what I call as part of global. Yeah? Now you can say add, if you want to add a new one, or else just select it and say OK, which means this new token set which was defined at global level, we are trying to use it. Yeah? Now click on output port, which is going to be based on what I call global first name. Yeah? Global, that's a first name. We are trying to what I call get the first name based on global content set and then finish it. Yeah. So this is what you will see as part of what we call parser transformation. Yeah. This includes what how to parse the what we call input data. Yeah. Based on global content set, and then right click on this parser transformation, run this in the data viewer. Yeah. So this is what you will see here. Yeah. And here, can you see here global F name, right? This is a Sandra Tucker, right? So wherever there is a matching with respect to regular expression, those records should be parsed. So this is parsed, and wherever there is a Sandra, what we call, it would get parsed. So this is what there are some records here. Yeah? There are few records where there is a match. Well, those records would get parsed, rest of them will not be parsed. There are some records here. Yeah? 8 records or whatever. Yeah? 7 records where there is a match. All of them have been parsed. Rest of them, there is no parsing has been taken place. This is how we can define global content set and get the data parsed. Clear?